We are live. Is Arthur Hayes telling you a bear market is coming? Or is he telling you that there could be a sharp correction in the next 2 months? Should you buy the market when it's up and sell it when it's down, hoping it goes lower? We will decide, and I will tell you live what the answer to these questions are. Nasdaq, is that the friend of crypto or foe? Are they done going down and is it over? And should you buy the dip? I'll tell you. What is the key level in Bitcoin? How can you tell what's really happening? I'll tell you. And then we will go to some very important TA on Nasdaq, Bitcoin, S&P, and Ethereum so we can figure out exactly what's going on. Exactly. Is there trouble ahead? And if there is, wait, I can't tell you. All right. This is the third market update of today. Okay. One thing I do want to share right off the bat, quick, a very interesting shill. I have been nominated for Best Little Channel. You can see Crypto Noble here. Okay. So they put me on like the feature page. You have to scroll down to find me. Speaking of scrolling, this is the voting page. It is a Google Doc. Don't be afraid. We're putting it in the chat and in the description down below. And we go on a very interesting journey down to the bottom where we have Best Micro Channel. That would be me, which I like better than Tiny. And lo and behold, there I am in the big old list of the big ocean of micro channels. Gee, where do they have ex-Wall Street analysts, the Eagle King, and the Solana Psychic? Nowhere. So not only would I appreciate you hitting the like button on the stream, but every vote counts. Believe it or not, the vote is tabulated and the winner is announced on Friday. So we will be enlisting the antivirus army. Oh my God, I wasn't sharing the screen. So here it is all the way up and down. Here is the voting page on the Google Doc. You got to go all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to Best Micro Channel. Best Micro Channel. And you have to dig to find me. But I would appreciate any digging you could do. There is Crypto Noble. And the guy that built the page was nice enough to put me at the top of the category on the website. He was nice enough. So here it is. Crypto Noble right at the top of Little Channel. Hit that vote button early and often. I would appreciate it. I want to be in the running. And I got a trick I'm going to pull up. Got a little something I'm going to pull out of my sleeve. Try to get some votes. Going to call some friends of mine. Please vote. Now, what is going to happen with this market? What did you do in August? What did you do in September? Let's begin. How many altcoins do you own? How many altcoins do you love? How many altcoins would you absolutely cry if they went down 50%? Keep the altcoins you love, the ones that you would cry when they're down 50% or more. Get rid of them on a rally like today. This is not investment advice. This is an opinion show. Now, why is that? Well, it's the same reason that Arthur Hayes sold. And Arthur Hayes sold his crypto because Nasdaq was absurdly overbought. Absurdly. The complacency in Nasdaq was absurd. The bullish sentiment in retail was as high as it's ever been. Every single short was A, squeezed out, and B, forced to get long. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does this have to do with crypto? I'll tell you. Above 116 in Bitcoin, 7% of the total Bitcoin supply changed hands. buyers and sellers met right up above 116. Now, if Bitcoin is above 116, then Nasdaq can go do whatever Nasdaq wants to go do. Okay? Nasdaq can just have fun. But if Bitcoin is below 116, there are some vulnerabilities. Recovery Channel, welcome to Loyalty Badges. Welcome, sir. We appreciate you. Now, if Bitcoin is not above 116, all those people who got long, like all those Bitcoin treasury companies, like ETHZilla, talking about 10,000 ETH, all those people who have not taken any heat, okay, who may discover what can happen in crypto, those people may be subject to some heat. You got a lot of Bitcoin traders that have got a lot of profits on the table who have seen big drawdowns, and they may not be interested in that, particularly if Nasdaq is hurt by tariffs, which the orange man gets more bold on every day, by sovereign policy error, like interest rates too high and the Japanese government bond market getting out of hand. Okay. And there are, again, the overvaluation of stocks combined with the economy, which stinks. They finally started reporting the jobs numbers. They're going to have a new head of labor statistics. Finally, right? Those guys were fabricating numbers all through the Brandon era. And they're going to go back and revise all those numbers. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be shocking because there's no job growth in the United States. You want to know whose fault that is? Most likely it's Powell's fault. Most likely. Now, that said, you're also maybe going to find out that the inflation statistics are bunk, which sets up a couple of CPI readings, which should be very interesting. So if you have way less employment growth than you thought you had and higher inflation than you thought you have, which is why Powell has been stubborn, makes sense, right? You could have a stock market that has to wake up to the grim reality that it should be 20 to 30% lower, if not more. And that could hurt altcoins, right? We could all find out one day that, oh my God, you know, it doesn't matter until it does. That's a famous saying in equities, right? We can ignore everything until we can't ignore it. Now, that leaves crypto in a very interesting position. Frankly, I kind of hope this is all a nothing burger. We can have a quiet August, a little dipsy-do in September, and then that's it. We can go to the Q4 banana zone. However, I suspect we will have to pay the price to get our hands on what could be a generational low. We will talk more about that in the YouTube member podcast tomorrow, and Patreon is full up with the scenarios for not just September, August and September, but the rest of the quarter and into next year. September could be very dramatic. And August could be very volatile, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's going to zero. Oh, it goes up 6%. I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. This is very possible. Very, very possible. The best case scenario for August is that it's quiet. Don't short the quiet market. That's the best case scenario. Now let's go back to Nasdaq and how it connects to crypto. We'll do the TA soon. For stocks, you know a down move is coming if you see the following price action. Market goes down, then it retraces 76% of the down move. Everybody gets short, retail buys the dip. Then it goes down again, and then it retraces 76%. And then that's when it becomes problematic. Now, until we see that, we don't want to lose our mind. We don't want to freak out. But we do want to keep levels in mind. Specifically, I think it's really all about Bitcoin. It's really all about, can Bitcoin recover? Can XRP, can ETH recover? Can Bitcoin ignore problems in stocks? Maybe for a little while, maybe in August, but maybe not in ... We'll tell you tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to go over some TA. Now, I know this is our third live stream of the day, so I'm not going to bore you to death, but I do want to talk about just a few things again. Arthur Hayes sold for a reason. Thought leaders are usually not wrong, but they're frequently early. Sometimes they can be very early. They can be 1 month early. But he saw what was going on and with Nasdaq, and he's like, ETH is outperformed. Pepe never went up. See you. Right? I'll come back in September. If it's going to be a massive low, I have no problem FOMOing in. None. Let's FOMO in. Okay, but if there really is a problem with tech stocks or stocks in general, and, you know, Rectember and Rocktober loom, he was like, peace out. And the warning, usually the warning for Rectember and Rocktober comes in August, either in a silent market, or in this case, it could be up and down, up and down, up and down, which frankly, I would encourage you to stay out of, because that's when trading sharks make their money, and stay away from the sharks. Now, as I said earlier, you have some positions. You have coins that you're married to that if they go down 40 or 50%, you're going to buy more. And then there are coins that if they go down 40 or 50%, you're going to burst into tears and cry. Those altcoins, this is not an investment advice, it's an opinion show, but you might consider getting rid of anything that's going to bring you to tears and buy them later if everything turns. Okay? Don't get caught in stuff you don't really like. Don't stick with the bumble date that's not working out. Stick with the stuff you want to marry. You know, that's maybe Tau, Render, and in Patreon Premium, we have a list of stuff we want to keep and stuff we want to sideline is a good word. Come back to later. Possibly after Rectember. So the worst thing you can do is get bearish in crypto while the market is going up, which seems to be what's happening now. However, I want you to be realistic. Being realistic is very important. Now, I do have something that is the sign of a possible apocalypse. So, the Orange Man said Sydney Sweeney has the hottest ad out there for American Eagle because she could be a Republican. I mean, with this law enforcement issue, is that what we should be talking about? Like, how far up the stupid tree are we going to climb at the sovereign level? Meanwhile, you got problems in Japan that are very serious. And just remember, everything is so rosy in tech stocks. Microsoft just laid off a whole bunch of people. So you have a very bad combination of policy error, stupidity, and complacency, which is why I want everyone to love crypto, because this is why Satoshi wrote the Bitcoin white paper. This is it. This is it. The only question is, how do you deal with the volatility? Because in my mind, volatility is coming, right? It's here now. Now, on that note, because we're doing 3 live streams a day, I want to go straight to TA, okay? And coming up here is NASDAQ futures. All right, so what do we got? Normally, the stock market will retrace up here to 76%. So that would be 23,584, except on an 89-minute chart, this thing ran into resistance, LuxAlgo resistance. So we are going to need quite the robust up move. And I will remind you, in equities, you had a top in April. You had a short squeeze in July. You had 2 opportunities to get out, and you can call this rally a third opportunity to get out. Should you get out? I don't know. We're going to have to see what Mr. Market has to say about it. S&P, ES1. What do we got? We got, let's see, we tried to go 62%, but it landed into a LuxAlgo wall. So again, you are going to need quite the rally to get back up to 6,400. And this is probably a good time to look over at a certain thought leader who has noted a lot of bearish things. Buy SPX at 666. That was the low in 2009. Sell SPX at 6,066 for his profile banner. This guy, like Arthur Hayes, rarely wrong, usually early. Okay? He was selling on the way up. Not a very, very smart individual followed by Arthur Hayes. You would be wise not to fade these people. ETH. Okay, so the granddaddy of ETH Treasury strategies. ETH actually tried to get to the 76% retracement before it ran into LuxAlgo resistance on the 89-minute chart. Now, why am I using 89-minute charts? Because, you know, in an environment where Nasdaq could be problematic, you want to make sure you pay attention. You want to pay attention to the tactical movements. In other words, you know, are people willing to pay higher prices? Everybody wants to buy it when it's down, right? Everybody's like, ooh, yeah, ETH's down 10%. Let me get some of that. But do they feel like paying? I don't know. Do they feel like buying it at 37.50? Do they want to buy it when it's up? Are people willing to pay higher prices? This is a question you have to ask yourself, right? Solana. Okay, well, no grotesque LuxAlgo resistance. That's good. Solana gets to the 50% retracement. Whoops. And holds. And then if you really, really want to look at the big picture in Solana, because Solana has underperformed dramatically. Solana had a tough time even getting to the 38% retracement. That level is 171. So we are going to need some punch here. And if we don't get it, we're going to have this in August. You know, we're going to watch, you know, Toby, we did some analysis that we're going to be presenting tomorrow. We're going to see some shake and bake. And you know what? Shake and bake is not good for hedge funds. Right? My guy that I just showed, he was noting that, you know, everything was going up and everything was fine. And that's the way computer models like it. But when you start to see shake and bake, then they have to sell. So we want to watch for shake and bake. That's all. That's all. I mean, people are like, oh, Bill, you're so bearish. No, I'm super bullish because I know that we're headed for a massive low. I just don't know what that level is. Either it's September's like a nothing burger, or, you know, we're gonna have to deal with stocks. I don't want to deal with stocks, and neither will Bitcoin at some point, right? It'll like get to a point where, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Maybe that level is 113. Arthur Hayes thinks it's going to 100. Toby and I came up with a level. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay? Now, what we can talk about today is Bitcoin. So here's your Bitcoin on your 89-minute chart, right? Okay, that's the nasty drop. Bitcoin got to the 50% retracement and then stopped. If we look at the overall decline, again, Bitcoin got to the 38% retracement and not really interested in going above that. You have resistance at 116 and support at 114. That may be the August range right there. Okay. Solana on a 4-hour DeMark chart. So, there's your 9 top. Now, if you're in a range, normally it's like 9 top, back down, 9 bottom, back and forth. And that could be exactly what happens here. ETH is the same thing. Now, I'm showing you this because what I don't want you to do is lose money in a range. Okay? This could be a range. No, ETH could hold. And if ETH turns around and starts going up again, well, happy days. I couldn't be happier. Matter of fact, it would be fantastic to see ETH and crypto go up for the rest of August and blow out all the shorts and make a new high. Oh, that would be unbelievable. Okay. The problem with that is that it does leave it vulnerable for September. I can only go level by level here. Are people willing to pay higher prices? That is the key. I did want to bring up MicroStrategy. They cannot stop selling MicroStrategy. Like Michael Saylor is being dragged on the podcast now, and he's saying, you know what, Mike, how come all the people in your company can't sell your stock fast enough? They can't get out fast enough because they think there's going to be an 80% drawdown in Bitcoin. I don't think so. I think if anything, Bitcoin is going to surprise given how well it holds up relative to Nasdaq. And even if there is a drop in Bitcoin, because everybody takes profits all at once, it is going to be an absolute V bottom. People are going to be standing down there. Now, how you get to, I don't know, sub 113 in Bitcoin, I'm not sure. But, you know, hopefully this Nasdaq, I know Big Rich is probably going to think that that was a 2-day drop and that drop was it. That was it. And that would be wonderful because you know what? In Bitcoin, you know, this could be the final dip before it just goes vertical and blows out all the shorts. Are willing to people to pay higher prices? That's what you have to see, because if they're not, and this includes stonks, then you have to start wondering. People are on vacation. They're headed for vacation. Are they going to sell before they go on vacation? Or are they just going to leave their positions and sort it out on Labor Day? Crypto could float higher. No problem. You know, equities have floated higher in August before. They certainly have. Right? But you want to make sure you take this somewhat seriously. Now, Metaplanet and all these Bitcoin treasury companies, we should probably talk about that. We talked about it before. We should do it again. There are a lot of people who FOMO'd in at the top, and their stocks went up after they did. MicroStrategy is kind of the exception because MicroStrategy, because it's the only way certain companies can get involved in Bitcoin, has a, let's call it a robust stock market spreadsheet valuation. If you're wondering who could panic if the market goes down, it could be some of these treasury companies. You know, Michael Saylor has diamond hands, but we're not sure ETHZilla does. We're not. Now, they may keep the spot, but you could have panic hedging that puts downside pressure on the market. Now, hedges are something that little doggies pee on. That saying comes from the fact that people frequently hedge late. Like if you were going to hedge in Bitcoin, you would hedge if Bitcoin pokes its head above 116 and can't stay above that. That would be where you hedge. And you put the stop at 119. And if it goes to 108, you're protected. However, I suspect people, if they have to, they could hedge late. So I'm just giving you a scenario to think about. That what are these Bitcoin and ETH treasury companies going to do if they start taking heat on their positions? Because they've taken no heat so far. Mateo, you're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. Now, let's look at Litecoin. Now, Litecoin, Litecoin is like the box of chocolates under the bed. You know, just, I love it. Can't give it up. It's a bad habit. You know, Bitcoin Cash is similar. Okay, so you've had some very robust price action in Litecoin. Very robust. Right into its premium zone. Let me tell you something. Only Bitcoin was able to push through its premium zone at 123, and then that eventually caught up with it. So I don't want to buy Litecoin at its premium zone. You've had some very intense FOMO in, as much as I like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash for that matter. Because I think when normies pour into this market, which is probably going to be later in the year, okay. So no sign of a top on a 4-hour chart. That's good. On a daily chart, rather. You know, you got some resistance up here at 126, but it doesn't look awful. It just looks a little overbought. Now, one thing you do have to be careful with things like Litecoin is Litecoin, Zcash, and Bitcoin Cash. When they outperform, the market can get smacked. And I've seen it. I've seen it like a dozen times. So it's good for Litecoin. I get it. I get why you like it. I like it too. But, you know, sometimes I think you got to be smart. Let's be smart. We have not covered XRP. What's wrong with me? Okay. So XRP goes up. I can tell you right now with this picture on a 4-hour chart, you do not want to see a reversal. You do not want to see XRP. If XRP sat still, great. You do not want to see XRP with a failed rally here. Okay. When you see these 9 tops, what you would like to see is sideways, maybe down in a range, but you do not want to see anything nasty. If there is something volatile, you would love to see it go down, you know, to 295 and then come screaming back long. You would love that. Oh my God. I'd be sleeping at night again if that were the case. Okay. Failed rallies in this situation, no bueno. Okay, so XRP could have 2 more up days before you have to worry about a 13 top on the daily chart. Not exactly what I would want. Now, that said, you know, I do think XRP below $3, I don't know. I think it's kind of stupid, but, you know, there is a saying at Wall Street where the cheap get cheaper. I really hope that's not the case. But we have to be honest about these charts, and we have to be honest about XRP with this really nice rally running face first into LuxAlgo resistance. Right? We have to be intellectually honest. Now, of course, if it takes out resistance, and again, I'm trading this level by level, I know that may sound wishy-washy. It's what it is. XRP retraces 62% of the run up, right? 62% of the run up right here at about 310. 62% is a big number in crypto. It is. And you do not want to see a failed rally. You just don't. What you want to see is a quiet August. That's what we're hoping for. Okay, Sonic, ticker symbol S. Okay, so this is DeFi. Hot, hot, hot. It's not a secret in the YouTube member area that the banks are coming to DeFi. They're either coming to DeFi because they want to, or they're coming to DeFi because they have to, because something stupid happens in legacy. And something stupid can happen in legacy. We have to take that seriously, at least for now. So again, you know what I'm saying? Down, and it hits the 38% retracement level. I want to see people paying higher prices. You follow what I'm saying? Okay, R&R, he voted for me, and he voted for Ben Armstrong for best fighter. So did I. The guy did 3 fights at age 40. 3 fights, right? It's not a vote on sanity. It's a vote on fights. He fought 3 times. He fought 3 times. Now, he wound up in pretty bad shape, but that has nothing to do with fighting. Now, let's talk about how crypto gets its moonshot. The downward revision to payroll growth for the prior 2 months in July was one of the largest since 1960. So where there's one fake payroll number, there's actually more. There's more. And it came alongside several months of downward revisions before that. Downward revisions of this magnitude have rarely occurred outside of a recession. So you're like, Bill, what does that have to do with crypto? Well, people, let me tell you something. Unless you've had a ton of NVIDIA or a ton of Bitcoin, you're experiencing a recession already. Like, how's job growth going? How's it going at Costco? Seriously. Toby has said it, and she's right. Everyone's calling for a recession. We've been in a recession for 2 quarters. I'm sorry. Yeah, for 2 years, excuse me. Now, the definition of a recession is stupid. It has to do with GDP growth, which is irrelevant because of the data center build out and all the energy that's going to be required for that. So we're going to build and build and build and build. So that's not going to affect GDP. But again, how's it going out there for labor, for prices paid, right? The general public has been dealing with this for years. It just hasn't hit the data. So what happens when they got to get real? They either got to lower rates, or you just discover that the whole thing is fake. It's fake, right? The Japanese government bond market, fake. Microsoft and NVIDIA accounting. Payroll number. Inflation number. Law enforcement issue about who did naughty things. How much of this has to go on before people go, you know what? It's Bitcoin and crypto forever. Really? I mean, especially if there's a downdraft in crypto later on that gives you juicy prices, that actually creates a lot of it or a little bit of fear. Maybe that was 2 days ago. Maybe we got another round in September. I don't know. You're going to have to tune into the YouTube, or you're going to YouTube member area or Patreon to see which one. We got detailed reports. We got lighter reports. And me and Toby are going to be going over it tomorrow in the YouTube member area. How do you get ready for something like this? We'd be happy to explain it to you. We'd be happy to. And again, this thing with Powell, this thing with him appointing people to the Fed board, if you have a circus with central banks in the United States and Japan, Jerome Too Late Powell is a stubborn moron. Not exactly professional. Not exactly. This makes the case for crypto. It does. And even if it goes down, you can't get bearish. And even if whether it's scary or it's not scary, clean up your book. Make sure that, you have, you don't want to have every bag packed. You want to leave a little in case, they cheapen it up. Grandpa Keeter says stagflation is here. Bro, stagflation has been here for quite some time. Here's another little interesting tidbit. I've been calling for Coinbase to do some good for the ecosystem. And guess what? Base just kind of overtook Solana in token creation. What do you know? What do you know? Coinbase's stock rockets higher, and then all of a sudden they got the capital and the push because they got to keep that stock up. They got to keep up with those expectations. What do you know? The Base network comes back. These are very, very long-term bullish themes, which again, you can't forget if in fact the market goes down. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, alt season. Where is it? Are we ever going to have it? I saw a tweet that said, shut up about alt season, because alt season is what happens at the end, not where we are right now. Where we are right now, it's like Michael Saylor and BlackRock levitating Bitcoin. And then ETH just caught up, but the rest of it, nah. Alt season could come. Massive new highs in Bitcoin could come. 5 to 6K ETH could be coming. But I ask you a simple question. Will it be easy to do those trades? Will it just be like, oh, I just buy now and I just forget about it and it goes up? God, that would be great, wouldn't it? And then alt season follows? It's almost like you don't even need me to do a show to tell you that. I could get on here and be like, oh yeah, man, it's going up. And it is going up. It is going up. But do we have to deal with Nasdaq first? Because the general public didn't get out. They bought the dip. Hedge funds got short and they got squeezed. Okay? They can only put up with that for so long before they have to get real. And there are plenty of catalysts for them to get real. So I want to make sure my people wind up coming out of the month of September with bags packed. Bags packed. Because the more fear that's generated now, the higher it goes later. In other words, if August is like, meh, if September is like, meh, okay, you'll get a Q4 rally, but I don't know if that's going to be banana zone. The better question is, how do you get the banana zone? How do you build up, as Michael Saylor would say, the energy for the banana zone? The only way to get it is to get a shock this way that makes everybody go, oh, wow, do I really want this? And then have it go. Now, how much fear would have to be created for this in crypto? A lot. Because everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to be bearish if it goes down. No way. It won't be me. Okay, don't say that. I like the idea of building up the energy. I like the idea of a NASDAQ reckoning. I like the idea of crypto outperforming. And then as soon as that hootenanny is purged, as soon as they've gotten their enema, then we just scream for months. And then you get your alt season at the end, right? You get your Christmas alt season. Now, of course, you know, I'm being nice and I'm telling you a few things, but the full scenario with the levels is in Patreon Platinum, and a lighter version with 6th Street Crypto is available in the VIP area in Patreon. And I would say, frankly, it's strongly in your interest to read that work and think about what you would do in these scenarios. In other words, if there's a reckoning in NASDAQ, what would you do? If there's no reckoning in NASDAQ, what would you do? We're going to be hearing from Toby tomorrow. DC Precise said, shrinkflation. Have you bought a bag of chips lately? Thomas Chai is here. A1 says, it's been a recession since 2021, 2022. dude, it is not pretty out there. It isn't. Okay, let's welcome who is here. Bull Runner first on, I think, 2 of the 3 streams today, if not all 3. By the way, we do have a morning stream now that comes from the shorts feed. So if you're wondering why I look like this in the morning, that's why. Because we're going to the shorts feed in the morning for like something quick, fast, in a hurry. Father Beck, one more time. R&R, Cat D, Bobby M, Brandon, welcome. Great Filibuster, a member along with Bob M. Hello. Grandpa Keeter. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here literally the whole time. The Great Santini, TC Crypto, CryptoPath, Zen Trader, Indie Rock, Donato, T-Bone, what's up? Edwin, CryptoPath, welcoming the Spartans of Patreon. Joseph Green, what's up? TC Crypto, Bob M, Recovery Channel, Get Fit, Don't Quit. Been here for 6 months. Welcome. Adele, MJT, MTJ. Is Tom Lee wrong on ETH? Okay, let's talk about Tom Lee. So Tom Lee was famous from 2018 when Bitcoin was cascading lower from like 14 to 3K for going on every single talk show he could. And the talk show would ask him, sir, is your year-end target for Bitcoin still 15K? He would be like, yup. And he got famous for being wrong. As Bitcoin just, it sat at 6K for like a month. And then it was, boom, just went straight to 3K. Bitcoin miners were out of business. Their hardware was left on the curb. It was a disaster. And then Bitcoin did a base. And then guess what? It went to 13K on a rope 6 months later. And then he became an analyst and, became a personality. And, it's a famous Wall Street saying, the only way to get famous at Wall Street is to lose money. But he was eventually right. He was just early. Now he's like joined an ETH Treasury company and he's back on TV saying ETH's going to 15,000. Okay. If ETH's going to 15,000, I ask you a simple question. What does the world look like with ETH at 15,000? If ETH is at 15,000, the whole banking system is running on ETH and the layer 2s. Robinhood is going to run on Arbitrum. Everybody's going to have to come to ETH. So ETH at 15,000, hopefully you can find a device that has internet in order to transmit ETH, that we're not living in like the Mad Max era where, what was Mad Max? It was, self-defense implements, water, and one other thing that they traded back and forth. Water, self-defense implements, and if you remember what the third one was, let me know. Hopefully it's not Mad Max. A lot of these guys with huge price targets don't really understand what the world might look like if it gets there. I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong at all. Not at all. Because who knows? DeFi for Bitcoin may run on ETH if you have a new financial system. Okay. We have Mateo becomes a VIP member. Sir, welcome. Toby will not disappoint tomorrow. Stefan, your bass hurts. A1. Wow, we got ourselves a crowd today, which is unbelievable because this is stream number 3. Ethereum leading the way, and it's Bitcoin's turn to follow. A1, gas and fuel. Right. Mad Max. Oh, yeah, that's right. Gasoline, water, and self-defense. Hopefully, ETH at 15,000 is a brighter world. Also, it's worth noting that machines will not trade fiat. They will not. When you have artificial general intelligence and when you have Skynet, they're not going to trade fiat. They're going to trade somewhere else. And you know what I'm saying? Poop Gav says, we'll see you in 2029. Toby Ward is from 2050. She wrote a novel about it. You'll love it. We'll see her tomorrow again. Jose becomes a loyalty badge member. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you supporting the channel. Remember, VIP, we appreciate any support. VIP is for Toby, right? Toby and me, right? And don't forget, Digital Dominion is the book, hardcover with a super glossy top. And the ebook is there for $10. Don't forget to vote for this channel. If we win, it would be the greatest comeback victory ever, right? Because the influencers know me, but, and I've gone to things with them, but it's not like, you know, I run to Vegas or big, you know, for crypto in Dubai, and I'm not in that crowd. So if we can actually get somewhere, that would be revolutionary. Revolutionary. Okay, people. That is the third market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.